Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Cadicus. So today I'm going to do a totally amateur review of the Arturia Astrolab. Oh my gosh. It's the synthesizer or stage keyboard that people say is absolutely terrible. Heard all sorts of things online about how the keybed is bad and who would want a thing that's basically just VSTs in a box, and who would want that? This guy. I'm going to start by telling you the reason I wanted it. No, I'm going to play with it while I tell you why I wanted this thing so that you can understand why it really isn't as bad as people make it sound online. It's just such a thing that you hear online that something is absolutely horrible, and then you see it in person or try it in person and you realize that there's nothing nowhere near as bad as people say it is. I mean, I think we're forgetting that the Arturia Astrolab comes from the same company that made the Arturia Micro Brute, or the Poly Brute. And like, I gotta say, that's one hell of a keyboard, one hell of an amazing synthesizer. So why would they suddenly go and make something that costs comparatively almost the same amount of money? Well, no, I think it's like half the price. I think it's $1,600 or something like that, or $2,000 online if you buy it from Arturia. But I got it in China, so I paid basically $2,000 for it. Which I'm completely happy with, because since I've been playing with it, well, I'm just going to show you. I'm going to show you why I think it is a pretty awesome synthesizer. But first, we're going to flip the camera around. We're going to jump to a video that I made when I first got it that highlights some of the, like, what it's basically a hardware outside of the device look at what's on it. In particular, the back of the device, because people want to know about the I/O. I'm going to say one thing that I really don't like about this synthesizer, about this keyboard, is that it doesn't have a MIDI through. What the? There's no MIDI through. There's a MIDI in and a MIDI out. I mean, I have a lot of synthesizers, and I would want basically what is going to act as the controller, my MIDI controller through my MPC live to all my synthesizers, and go to all the other synthesizers. I would want it to go from here directly into here, and then from here into the other things. But I saw somebody make a video where they changed the out to a through. I went to the MIDI settings and there's no option to do that. So I'm not sure what the deal is, if I'm just using it wrong. I hooked everything up just as it was before. Before, this was the main, like, number one, and there's two MIDI outs on the MPC Live. There's out A and out B. And out A from here went directly into here. And then this one went from, like, this was like A1, and then there's A2 and A3 and A4 and A5 and whatever, all to the other different synthesizers. I have an A channel and a B channel. After I took the MIDI wires out of here and put them into here, everything lower than this in the A chain doesn't work. So it goes in and it doesn't come out from here. And I hope I can figure out some solution to that, because otherwise I have to make this the last thing in the chain. It's not impossible, it's just annoying. Anyway, that's my biggest complaint about it. But let's flip the camera around. We're going to use a video that I made before, because I don't want to take this thing back out again to make the hardware part. So when I first got the device, I did a filming of the outside of the device, including the back of it. So we're going to switch to that real quick. I'm going to show you the I/O, and then we'll come back to in this room at this time, because I've had it for, I don't know, a week, 2 weeks now, and I've had time to actually play with it and get to know it. In fact, my daughter Annika has been playing with it too. It's actually a lot of fun, but I'll show you in a second. So give me a sec, I'll flip the camera around. Okay, so I figured I'd redo the hardware, like the outside of the device, kind of part of the video, instead of doing what I did before, because it was too long ago, I didn't understand it. So you got a bunch of clicky buttons on here. Cool. You've got your mod wheel. It feels very nice to move. It's very smooth. You've got your pitch bend right here. It's less tension than I can feel on some synthesizers, like about the same as that. Absolutely less tension than that. So it's a good middle ground. It's not loose, but you know, you can see it like comes back into place without. And you've got your octave buttons down here, your arpeggiator and chord. You can click that right there, choose what kind of chord, and just press a single key and you'll start playing chords. It's pretty neat. You've got your play and record, so you can just start playing, like press record and start playing, and then stop and play it. And I believe it saves to the patch that you're on, or it saves to a directory full of whatever recordings you've made. So that's pretty neat. Your back, up, down, and shift. And of course, these are all contextual to whatever's displayed on the screen right here. Because it's not on, you can't see it. You don't touch on the screen, you push the knob. So wherever you are, the knob doesn't go straight down. It goes down from whatever angle. So I can press it on the top, the side, like any side, anywhere on it, I can press it. And it's not like a directional thing, so it's not like press left and press right. It's actually just an enter button, just like the Q-Link knob on here. It's just an enter button. So no matter where you press on it, you're using these things or using the knob itself to turn and select something, and then wherever your fingers are, you just tap it and that's enter. It'll go into whatever's on the screen right there. You've got your parts buttons right here, part 1 and part 2. These things light up individually for different colors. This will be orange, this will be green. Click on this and anything you do here will be changing for that part, and all of the LEDs around here showing the values will change to the color of whatever part button you have selected. This one's green. If I click on that, they'll all turn green. I can set all those values and then press and hold this and then choose save and save it like that. You've got your effects right here. I don't remember how that works, like send effects and whatever, but there's a difference between the two effects, between the like FX right here and the delay and reverb. So I believe this is at the beginning of the signal and this is at the end of the signal chain. Whatever that's called, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure that's how it works. You've got your power buttons for all of them. When the device is on, they're lit up. And of course you can just press it and turn it on and off. And if you hold the shift button, it'll go to edit. So you can change these effects to whatever kinds you want. There's various ones, chorus, flanger, things like that. Delay, if you edit that, you can choose the type of delay or the time or whatever. And reverb, same thing. You can hold edit and go into the reverb and choose different kinds like plate, hall, big hall, small hall, room, big room, small room, etc. And you can change the values for that. So it's very cool. So that's outside here. You can see on the top here, there's all these little dots. Those are actually LEDs. And if you're basically playing a two-part thing right there, then they will be white. Every single one of them will be lit up and they'll be white. If you're like playing a one part, same thing. All the LEDs are white. If you do a second part and you choose, say, part 1 or part 2, as long as they're combined and playing at the same time with each key, they'll be white. But if you split them, then part 1, which is orange, will light up all these orange depending on where your split is until that spot. And since this is green, all these will be green behind that, so you know that you're playing part 1 or part 2 of the split. So I think that's very cool and very thoughtful. Give me a sec, I'm gonna turn the synthesizer around and show you the I/O. Oh, before I do that, let's talk really quickly about the actual aesthetics of it. This is not actually wood, and it's not just like plain plastic. It's actually a thick, nice material. It is some kind of polymer. As far as I know, I mean, I'm not 100% certain, but I believe it's not actually wood. That's what I saw in somebody's review. It feels really nice, though. It doesn't feel like some cheap plasticky cover put on top of it. I mentioned in a different part of the review, later in the review, about how the keys feel, but they feel very nice. They've even got this little felt thing up here to like stop them from banging on the top, much like an actual piano, and they feel a bit more similar to piano keys than they do to keyboard keys. Got nothing on the bottom of the device. The enclosure is metal, I forgot to mention that. Entirely metal except for these sides right here, and solid as hell. The knobs feel fantastic to turn. They're endless encoders, so the LED shows you where the value is, and if you change presets or you change to something else, then the value will automatically change to show you what it's set to. Instead of being the kind of like setup where endless encoders, you choose another preset, and because it's already at that value, you turn it and automatically jumps to something. No, this is cool. It shows you where it is, and it'll change depending on whatever preset you're on. The knobs feel absolutely fantastic. Every single one of them feels nice. It's got a great amount of tension to it. The turning of this is very smooth. It doesn't like ding, 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 ding. I believe there is, yes, there is. There's a, like, I don't know, kinetic or whatever. I forgot, like the vibration thing. So when you turn it, it'll like dunk, 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 dunk through vibration, and it feels really nice. It feels deep and solid, but when the thing is off, it just turns nice and smoothly. There is tension to stop it from just bzzz, but it turns nice and smoothly. As for the buttons, they're just plastic buttons. They're very clicky. They have like a metallic membrane underneath, giving them a nice click. And they're very similar to a lot of other devices' buttons. I mean, if I go up to here, and very similar. These ones are very different, of course. Similar to those. Not similar to these. Similar. No, not similar to those. Those are different. But yeah, they don't feel bad. They're similar to these ones too. They don't feel bad. They're quite loud and clicky, which, I mean, come on, it's fine. I do really like that there are different categories of sounds right here immediately on the device. And of course, all these things have a backlight. Every single button on here has a backlight, so it lights up so you can see what's selected when the device is on. But you've got everything from piano to brass and everything in between, and then you've got a sequencer and you've got a playlist right there. When you click on playlist, it brings up whatever patches or presets you've chosen to set into a playlist. This can be useful for somebody like me who's a music producer, and so that I can set up a bunch of different sounds to maybe use in the same song. So I put that into a playlist, and then I can easily go through that playlist and choose the next preset. But I think ideally it's made with stage performers in mind, so that if they're going to play a set that night, then they have the presets automatically saved into the playlist that they're going to do. So they've got like Tuesday, they've got all their different presets that they're going to use, and Wednesday and Thursday and Friday, so they can do different playlists, or they can by genre, whatever they want. I think you name your own playlist, so you can call it by genre or date, or the name of your favorite dead dog. Doesn't really matter. But let's go to the back of the machine and see what we have for I/O. All right, here's my super jank. Showing you of it, like it's making my desk wobble and everything. Ooh. Anyway, we've got our USB jack right here, USB type A, and that's for storage devices. So you can plug in any kind of, like USB drive or something like that. It's also got MIDI, and it says 5 volt 1.5A. I don't know if you can power the device through that. No, you can't, because there's this right here. You got your power jack right here. You've got your power button right here. It's just a click once button, and it does light up when the device is on, so it's kind of neat. You've got your headphone jack right here, full size, like 1/4 inch, and you've got two, TRS stereo jacks here, so left and right, not stereo jacks, they're mono, left and right channels. You've got an input, XLR input, so you can plug in another device to go through the device using XLR, or you can plug in a microphone to use the vocoder on here. Yes, this thing does have a vocoder, and I think there's multiple settings for it. Very cool. I haven't tried it. My microphone requires phantom power, and I don't know if this thing does phantom power or not. I haven't gotten that far with it. You've got your sustain pedal, expression pedal, and then two auxiliary pedal inputs right here. You've got your MIDI in and out, and unfortunately you don't have MIDI through, and like I said just a moment ago, that's a serious gripe for me. And then the rest of it, you got your, classic Arturia branding on the back there, and that's about it for the I/O. So yeah, that's the outside of the device. Testing the audio from this point. I wonder how it is. All right, blah, blah, blah. Let's see how it looks when I sit like this. Okay, so in this part, I'm gonna play you some of the things that are in here. I'm sorry that the view doesn't show you the little screen on there at the same time, but I mean, how does it sound? And why do I like this thing? Well, the first thing I really like about it is that, or the reason I got this thing, is that I have a lot of synthesizers. As you can see, I have many synthesizers that can make complete sounds from scratch. They can do a really good job of that. But I don't have the most creative mind when it comes to creating sounds. Like, I find a lot of my patches just end up sounding like init with effects, or like, I don't know, it's hard to explain. I know how to use, for example, the mod matrix on the Polybrute, but I kind of forget every time I go back to it, and I don't have like ideas on how to make sounds that are going to sound really good. So I find something like this is enjoyable to just come in, choose a preset. I mean, there are 1,300 roughly. Choose a preset and start making music with it. And the thing is, it's not like a lot of synthesizers where the presets are an assortment of like 20 really nice sounding, good for music melodic patches, and then like 3,000 fart noises, or like, just the weirdest sounds in the world. This thing is very much geared towards playing in bands and playing on stage. It's a stage keyboard, and there's a lot of sounds in here that are immediately melodically appealing. And first of all, I'm not a preset hater. You know, when I find a good preset on a synthesizer, I might make some slight adjustments to it, but then it gets into one of my songs. Because I'll just start playing it and then a melody comes to me, and I'm very much inspired by a preset that really grabs me. Again, I'll make adjustments to it often, but I'm not afraid to say that I like using presets. And so a device like this that comes with a ton of melodic presets that just sound great right out of the box is appealing to me. So how about instead of just talking about it forever, I just start playing you some things and we'll see how it sounds, okay? We're starting with Venus Rising, so I guess it's what is it, a Juno 6 or Juno 60 or something clone? So let's see how it sounds, okay? Pretty nice. Now you do have 4 knobs up top. One's called brightness, one's called timbre, one's called time, one's called movement, and each one of them has a sub. So if you hold the shift button, you can get volume, bass, mid, and treble. So you can control your highs and lows of patches and things like that. The brightness, timbre, time, and movement, they're specifically geared to do what they do. They're macro knobs, basically. And if you have the Arturia V collection or something, I'm not exactly sure. I'm not familiar with plugins. I don't usually play, I don't use computers to make sounds. And the reason being is because I used to use Fruity Loops or FL Studio back in the day, way back in the day, like starting in '98. And I loved the fact that I could make music real, but I hated the fact that I would be clicking on the wrong thing and unclicking it and clicking and unclicking and clicking and unclicking, like so often. I'm not super accurate with a mouse. I don't know, the stupid hand doesn't listen to me and click on where I'm looking on the screen or something. But it got so frustrating that as soon as I sit in front of a computer to make music, I start to feel discouraged. And 1 or 2 misclicks later, and I'm like, oh, forget it, I'm not going to make any music. And that became such a thing for such a long time that I just stopped making music for 10 years until I started looking into hardware synthesizers. And so I'm all in on that. I do have an MPC Live that's kind of the brain of it, and it is, it's a DAW in a box, but it's finger touching and knob turning and pad using instead of using a mouse and keyboard. Now, back in the day when I was using FL Studio, I didn't have a MIDI controller. I didn't even know about them. So I think that's what ultimately led me towards doing hardware synthesis. I mean, I got into actual synthesizers before I even knew that there was such thing as a MIDI controller that you could just use with a computer. But it's too late now. I'm all in on hardware. This is basically a bunch of VSTs in a box. I'm aware of that. And in fact, you can plug it into your computer and interface with the software, and you can program patches, so long as you own Arturia's software. There are some small things you can do with the software, like you can do effects and things like that, and send those as new presets into the device if you want to, into the Astrolab if you want to, but you don't have full control over creating entire patches with, for example, like pigments and things like that. You do have to buy that software. And I'm very much interested in doing that, but I gotta wait for my wife's heart attack from buying this to die down before I start spending hundreds of dollars on things that basically don't exist, VSTs. But I will get around to it. I'm very interested in the idea of using the standalone software, VST software, to create patches in the Arturia collection and then upload them into here. I think it's awesome. I mean, I'm not even connected to a computer right now and I can make sounds. I'm going directly from here into the audio interface, and I'm making music. So I really like that about it. It is definitely a different experience. I mean, you only have these 4 knobs, which are macros. So for example, let's turn the brightness knob. Basically works as a filter cutoff, right? Then we got the timbre. It's resonance. You got the time. I'm ADSR, or yeah, ADSR, so it's probably release. Turn it way down. Becomes more of a pluck. So it actually affects more than one part of the envelope. So that's pretty cool. So yeah, like I said, these are macro knobs. They are pre-programmed depending on the preset in order to turn multiple values with one knob. And it's up to whoever made the preset what that does, because you don't really have control over that unless you plug it into your computer and make adjustments on there. But I think for most of these patches you do need the collection, or you need like whatever synthesizer, you need that VST from Arturia. I think it's like $500 for the entire set, or the $400 for the entire thing, that would allow you to have full control over every preset on here. And I think Arturia also has deals sometimes, so maybe I'm kind of waiting for that, like 25% off or 50%, who knows if it ever does that, I'm not sure. I know that VSTs go on sale from time to time, but I don't know if Arturias do. Anyway, we're in the sound part of it. So cool thing I do want to say about this is I usually have trouble understanding splits, or how to set splits up on my other keyboards. Like this one, my Polybrute can do splits, but I find it difficult to like do it in the options. It's usually a little bit convoluted. It's enough to confuse me to use splits in like on different synthesizers, but this one's super easy. Right now I'm using one patch. It's called Venus Rising. It's a Juno, and then I've got 3 buttons up here that you can't see, but one's part 1, part 2, and then split. So I don't have a part 2 selected. I just have one part, and this is multi-timbral, so it can do more than one patch at the same time, 2 patches at the same time. So if I click the lit up part 2 button, it says press wheel to add a part. Whoops, I was a little bit late on that. I'm gonna try that again. So I press part 2, I click the wheel, and then I choose, I've got types, I've got instruments, artists, liked presets, sound banks, and remove part 2. So let's go to types. Let's let's do keys. Got classic road. Let's see here. You can also preview all of these. So right now I've got both of them in there. So let's just part 1. Let's turn the timbre back up again. Oh, time. Sorry. So part 2. I think it's locked in now. Shift and part 2 to edit part. Okay. Let's shift part 2. It's quite easy. It tells you right on the dial what you need to do in order to affect it, to change it in whatever way you want. Let's go to pad. Sure, a pad and a pad. So we've got Tokyo Dreams, which looks like it's a CS80. So we've got the 2 of them together. It's a little bit much with both of them in there because it's 2 pads. You got the Juno, the Juno and the CS80 together, so it's hard to hear both of them. But you can also select to like adjust the sound of parts. Right now it's just the CS80. There is aftertouch, but there's no poly aftertouch, so it brings both parts up. It's kind of cool. The aftertouch right here is set to kind of have that like analog drift to it. Got the mod wheel. Oh, right now I've selected part 1 for editing, and all of the knobs up here, the brightness, timbre, time, and movement, they've all turned orange. In a moment I'm gonna actually show all this stuff on camera, but right now, I'll just explain it. If I click part 2, all of the LEDs around the knobs showing the values for each thing, they turn green. And if I click on part 1, which is orange, it turns orange. But I was saying I have difficulty understanding how to use splits on a keyboard. Oftentimes because of the menus and things like that. This is so easy. I've chosen a second part and then I click split, just like that. And then on the keyboard, I have LEDs over top of each key, and I have green LEDs. So I have orange for the first split and green for the second part. So it shows me where my split is visually so that I know where it is. But it was so easy to set up. Just chose the second part and here we go. Now I just need to turn the value for volume 1 up. It's so easy to use split on here. I've got the mod wheels up, so it makes it all sound. And then for each one, like I said, the color of the knobs changes, or the color of the LED around the knob changes. So, for example, change the brightness. It's only changing the brightness of the first split, which is the Juno. Green. That's a little abrupt. So I'll go to part 1 there, turn the brightness down. And then we'll... That's kind of cool. Sorry, I just get sucked in when I find different sounds. I absolutely love this about this keyboard, is that due to I don't have second nature with actual synthesizers with all the knobs on them. I do enjoy playing with them. I do enjoy knob twisting and figuring out different sounds and things like that, and messing around and experimenting. And some of the nicest sounds I've ever made are completely by accident. Most of them are by accident. I'm playing with something I never played with on the synthesizer, and so I'm like, woo, that sounds good. It just comes out of nowhere, and I love that. It's a lot of fun. But it isn't usually an instant thing. I'm not the kind of person who can hear a sound that somebody else makes and then just make it for myself on the synthesizer. As much as I like to, as much as I'd like to. I even bought Syntorial and went through half of it, and I kind of got discouraged because halfway through it wants you to make really specific sounds and things like that, and scores you on it, and it's using all sorts of different values and knobs and things like that, and the more complicated it gets, the more I'm like, yeah, that sounds about the same, and then the application's like, that's not the same, it's a saw wave, not a square wave, but to me it sounds exactly the same, whatever. So anyway, that kind of discouraged me, but I did mess around there. I did get halfway through all the lessons on there, and I can admit to you, I still am not able to recreate, not fluidly, not second naturally recreate the kind of sound that I hear somebody make. So that's my place with synthesizers. That's where I'm at with synthesizers. I have lots of them. I enjoy playing with them. Most of the sounds that I like are made by accident. Oftentimes I'll hear a preset on one of the synthesizers and I'll think, ooh, that would sound really good if I did this to it. And I can go from there to make my own sound and save that and stuff. And it's a lot of fun. But it doesn't just like choose any sound. It's not like just choose any sound on the thing and it's gonna sound amazing. You know, like let's get out of here and let's just click on lead, and it says 70s synth. It's not like just choose any sound and it inspires you to start making music. Like I said, a lot of synthesizers, they have, if you just want to make music and you want lots of great presets for music, your average synthesizer is not I mean, it's great if you're willing to put in the work of understanding it and read the manual and whatever. It's great for that. But it's bad if you just want to go through and surf the presets and see what inspires you. I am one of those kinds of people that when I hear a preset that I like, I just start playing them and I'm like, ooh, I like that melody. I've said it before and I'll say it again. I'm inspired by good sounds. And a lot of these synthesizers, they're not showcasing what an amazing music machine it is. They're showcasing what an amazing device it is for creating sounds. And it showcases a vast variety and many of those sounds. Perhaps the vast majority of them, well, not the majority, but a lot of them are not melodic at all. They're to showcase that you can do all sorts of different things with it. Or a lot of the different presets are suitable for genres that I'm not interested in. So that makes it also challenging for me to be into the presets on different synthesizers. But this is just like pick up and go. Just choose something. Just choose and go. Kind of weird, there's a little bit of chord there. Just choose one and start playing. I really like that. I think I'm a fan. You know what I'm gonna do now? Now I'm gonna actually take the camera out of the holder there and I'm gonna aim it at the machine and I'm gonna show you what I'm doing as I'm doing it and talk about some criticisms like the screen, for example, and the key bed. I think in one, like the part that I'm going to show you, I actually gave a demonstration of like how thunky it is. I personally kind of like it. But yeah, let me just stop this part, get the camera into my hand, and start talking about what you're seeing on the actual device itself and see it in action. So, see you guys in a second. Okay, so from this part, I'm completely one-handed, so I won't be doing any like fantastic 5-finger chords or anything like that. Well, maybe. Oh, well, that's all lead. A mono lead anyway. Look, we're all in leads, yeah. Let's go to organs. Everybody loves organs. Nice, everybody loves organs. So let's have a look at the screen. A lot of people criticize the screen because they say it's really small and how are you supposed to see anything on it? And I understand that, but the way that they have it laid out in the actual device itself, again, you're not programming your own sounds on the device. That could be a criticism for some, but for me, that's not what this thing's about. And even though I'm not a live performer, gosh, I got into a Reddit with somebody who's like, why did you buy a stage keyboard? I guess you're doing live shows there. And he's being kind of like snide because he knows that I don't. But I didn't get it for that. I got it because I wanted to, I already told you in the first part of the video just a moment ago. But anyway, so people criticize the screen, but let's have a look at this screen. It's laid out pretty well, and you can see everything quite clearly unless your eyes are broken. Mine are not perfect, and I can still see things perfectly. So I've got all sorts of different like genres or types to choose from. I can go back from there, and I can choose from types, instruments, artists. What the heck is that all about? Artists? Well, you can choose an artist, and it will give you the actual synth and preset that they used. It'll give you the preset that they used. I can't play like Take On Me off like, you know, by heart, but yeah, you can choose different artists. Let's just scroll down. Daft tribute, so Daft Punk, David Bowie, Depeche Mode. I don't know which song this preset is for. Somebody who's more experienced with music than me would probably know. But yeah, you can choose a whole bunch of different things, and the menus are nicely laid out so that even on this tiny little screen, it's really easy to use. If you're in, let's say for example, I choose a preset that I like. So let's go to like pad here. So let's say I really like this one. What can I do about that? Just press and hold. Oops, I think it just chose another one. Whoopsies. So that's something that can happen. There we go. Press and hold, and it gives you a second menu. You can either like it, which means it'll show up in a list of your liked presets. You can hold it like this. I did it again. There we go. So I can like make adjustments, and I like the adjustments that I made, so I can press and hold, and I can go to save, like that, save as, and I can go through the entire thing here and change the name of it, but Tokyo Dreams 1 is good enough for me. Just press continue. This preset you chose already exists. You should want to override it. No, cancel. So let's do number 2. There we go. I save it, and now it's saved with the way that I've set up the macros and things like that, which is really easy. I haven't even talked about the effects. You've got 2 send effects and 2, I don't know how to name this stuff, but you got the effects right here. These 2, you can edit, like choose completely different effects, so excuse the camera for a second. I had to hold the shift button and press the power button right here. It goes to edit, and then I've got a screen right here to choose from all sorts of different effects. And some of them are multi-leveled, like I've got a multi-filter here. And I've got, you know, mode. I can change it to whatever kind of mode I want, or I can go back and I can choose, there's compressors to choose from. And chorus, flanger, phaser, stereo pan, analog phaser, wah, twin amp, and rotary speaker. Ooh, I like that. Let's choose that one. Enable. Oh, I like that. Kind of like lowers it a little bit, compresses it a bit. Turn the time down a bit. Turn up the reverb. Nice. So yeah, you can choose from a whole bunch of different effects, and you've got those over there. Talking about the split again, right now you can see it's got a single synthesizer. It's Tokyo Dreams, built off the CS80. I believe there's multiple presets for the CS80. There's multiple presets for any different synthesizer that they're emulating in this machine. Any VST that they've got in this machine. So it's not just a one-off of a CS80 and then everything else is a different synthesizer. There are multiple different ones, and they're based off of whatever the designers wanted to do, or based off of different songs that use that instrument. But if I want to do a split, I was talking about how easy it is. You see the part 2 right here is lit up. If I click on that and press on the wheel, by the way, you don't press in the middle of the wheel. It's not a touch screen, number 1 and number 2. You don't need to. You just press on any part of it and it'll choose it. So I can be like instruments, sure. And let's do the ARP, sure, okay. Yeah, the ARP right there. Now I've got 2 parts. It's a kick. That's a little bit weird. We're gonna edit that. So hold shift here, click part 2. Hey, shift, part 2. No? Oh, that's because I haven't chosen it. Right, I'm still choosing. I'm choosing patches based on that instrument. Oh, see, even I'm just learning about it. Different presets for the same one. Let me find something I actually like. Bass, acid, baby, no. Arturia? Nice, okay, so let's choose that one right there. And then all I have to do for any part that I want, if I feel like part 2 is too loud, I can actually turn it down a little bit. Tokyo Dreams is a bit louder. I can adjust that sound too. But then what about the split? See all these blue LEDs right here? That's because right now it is both of them. There's no split part. It's just 2 parts playing together. But I can click split right there. This turns green. This turns orange. Now they're split, and I know where they're split because of these LEDs right here. But also, if I click on part 1, then these turn orange. If I click on part 2, these turn green. So it tells me the values for each one. Click on part 1, click on part 2. Pretty nice sounding, actually. If I had 2 hands, I could play them together. Well, let's just do it. So yeah, that's the 2 of them together. And again, I can adjust the volume of each part like that, or I can just press split again, and they're recombined like that. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. You've got reverb and delay over here, and it's very easy to adjust them. You just gotta hold shift. I gotta do the camera thing again. So if I hold shift right here and I click on either of these buttons right here, which turns the effect on or off, I suddenly get a selection of what kind of reverb I want. Okay, so I've chosen reverb and I can choose what kind I want. So let's go to large concert hall. Sure. It's a bit heavy, right? Turn it down a bit. Nice. And remember, again, if I like this preset that I've made with these two parts and things like that, all I have to do is press and hold. And then save as. Tokyo Dreams 3, sure, why not? Save it like that, and then if I want to find it easily, hold it again, go to, oh, well that's unlike, that's, yeah, well, like, okay, so that's already done. So now I've got that readily available, and it saves with all the effects where they are, and it saves with all the macros where they are, so it's pretty cool, and it's very easy, very intuitive. I don't know what else I can show you about the device. I mean, it's really nice. Talking about the keys, they feel good. They feel more pressure is needed than, for example, the Polybrute. It's very similar to the Voyager XL, even though these are, you know, what is that, FATAR keys. I actually don't know the definitions of like different key types. I just say like shallow keys and then full keys or like deep keys. These are more like piano keys and these are more like keyboard keys, right? And I think the difference is FATAR. I'm not sure. I don't know. If you know, you can tell me in the comments or whatever. But they feel weighty. Let's turn this down. You're hearing the clunk in the microphone up there too because, you know, they're connected on the same sort of desk thing. But they feel, they're called semi-weighted, and honestly, they feel very similar to a piano. Not quite as thick feeling as a piano, but very similar. Definitely a different feeling from a keyboard like over there or any of my keyboards. Definitely a bit of a different feeling, but it's not something impossible to adjust to. You know, when I sit down at this thing, let me just turn the camera around and do this part. Hi, everybody. Yeah, when I sit down and I just start using this thing, I'm not concerned with any of the criticisms that anybody's ever said. I didn't have expectations going into it other than I could make music with it. So I know that there are some YouTubers or some people who have heard about it, or they've watched YouTube videos about it or criticisms about it, and they've already made up their mind about what kind of a terrible synthesizer it is. Personally speaking, I went into it expecting to be able to just have something that immediately makes music, and that's exactly what it does. It's also extremely easy for me to understand. It's gotten me a little bit interested in VSTs as well, not gonna lie. Like when I plugged it into the computer and downloaded the Arturia software, and I realized that I could interface and do things on my computer and upload them into the machine and take the machine away from the computer, I kind of became interested, and I'm thinking, like I said, I'm thinking about buying the whole Arturia collection because everything works inside of it. I can upload any patch that I make on there. And I don't feel anxiety sitting in front of my computer doing that the way that I used to with the DAW. So who knows what kind of doors might be opened by this little exploration. Either way, I gotta say that I'm quite impressed by the Arturia Astrolab. It is a pretty penny. It's a lot to ask. I don't know the going price. Like I said, I paid about $2,000 for it. But I live in China, and anything like this has a premium tax on it. It's also why I was able to get it so quickly. I mean, I got it almost a week ago or a week and a half ago because it's made in China, so it was readily available. I was so excited about that. I really like the device. I feel like if you're worried about the value for it, you know, there's a lot of things that you can say to like criticize it, like, oh, $2,000 or for a bunch of VSTs, and it's like, well, I mean, pretty much any digital synth, you can kind of make that argument. Like I have a Tasty Chips GR1, which is basically just a Raspberry Pi in an aluminum box. I have the Access Virus, which it has full VST that is fully compatible with it. So it is also just a VST in a box. Pretty much any digital synthesizer, you could break it down like that. But you're not exactly, you know, when you get hardware, you're not exactly just buying a bunch of sounds. You're also getting something that you can hold and tangibly use, and it is a bit of a different experience. So personally, I'm quite happy with the Arturia Astrolab. I like using it. I like the inspiration that I get from it. I like that I can just sit down in front of it and start playing it, and it feels really good. My daughter Annika has never really been interested in coming into the music room and making music. She's said that she's wanted to a couple times, but she's never actually done it. And I think a lot of it is that she's intimidated by all the stuff on the synthesizer. It's a lot to wrap your head around. And then knowing how to use the MPC Live in order to record it and MIDI channel, all that stuff, it's a lot for her. But she has spent hours a night for a few nights already just coming in here, turning off the lights so that all the synthesizer lights are going. And hold on. She'll come in here and turn off the main light at night so that all of the lights of all the synthesizers are going, and she just sits in here making music. Sorry if my volume got a little bit low, a little bit forward from the microphone. She just starts making music. She just starts playing the thing and enjoying it. So I understand where she's coming from on that one. Anyway, I feel like this video has been more than long enough. I hope that it's given you a good perspective or a lot of information about the Astrolab, about why a person may or may not want one. You know my feelings about it, and I'm glad you guys watched the video. So I guess with that, I'll see you guys in the next one. This is Caticus, out.